he is with us
Mike.
again. Tua, what?
Mike, he's probably like, why do I want you to coach me in anything? What the hell are you going to coach me with?
Tua, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
You know, when we think back to last week of the Super Bowl, we had you. We got to see some of your family members down there. When you reflect back on the past year, how do you think you've personally changed the most?
Well, I'd say from a football standpoint, I've changed a lot as a player, because a lot more is expected, and you got to do a lot more on your own. Whereas in college, that wasn't the case. You had your coaches kind of guiding the way for you, and you also had schoolwork to deal with. In the NFL, you don't necessarily have schoolwork.
And I hear that from time to time, and it makes a ton of sense. Like, you've got actually a lot more free time at the NFL level because when you're done, you're done. You're left to your own devices. You have to decide how you're going to budget the rest of your day. When are you going to spend time studying your playbook? When are you going to spend time studying film? Are you going to get an extra workout in? Are you going to maybe do things that are going to distract from your ability to be ready for work the next day? It takes a lot more discipline than it does when you're in college.
I agree. I would say yes to that point, because you definitely have a lot of downtime in the off season, and you just got to find ways to keep yourself busy, whether that's spending more time with your family during the off season, doing things to help get your body right for this upcoming season. So, for me, this is my first true off season. And I'd say at this point I'm enjoying it right now, but starting next week we get right back into things.
Yeah. I mean, to that, I'm interested. I was in your shoes once, that rookie, where I'm going, wait, practice is over. We had our last meeting. It's time to go home, right? And then I look at like Brad Johnson, who's the starting quarterback, and he's going into the meeting room and doing those things and like going to watch more film. What was that moment to you where you were like, oh, wait, was it Ryan Fitzpatrick? Did he teach you the way, or did you just see him hanging out in the facility and said, wait, I better hang around too? How did that all shake out?
Yeah, I actually seen Ryan a good amount of times after meetings were done. He'd go into another meeting room, by himself. And, I'd pop in and ask him what he'd be doing. And he'd tell me, pull up a seat, and really he just talked me through his thoughts on, how he tries to break down the film in practice and how he tries to break down defenses. So to that point, Ryan has helped me tremendously, with doing things on my own and also, knowing how to study the film.
Tua, I remember talking to you after one of your first few starts. It was one of the victories, and you said to me that you were surprised that it wasn't as difficult as you thought it was going to be. There weren't as many different looks as you thought you would see. Did that change once you created more film and defenses could get a better feel for what you were doing? Did it get more complicated? Did you see more looks?
Well, I guess that was kind of taken out of context. And I think what I kind of meant to say was, our coaches made it easier for me, like going out there because of the preparation they had with the scout defense. I think the scout defense did a great job and helped prepping me. Our coaches did a great job as well. I didn't necessarily mean that the NFL was easy and that it'd be a breeze, going against all these defenses. All these guys are really good. So, every time you got to bring your A game, and you just got to expect the unexpected.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. That's part of playing quarterback. We're fellow lefties. We know that. I want to know some of the stories because I'm sure this happened. It happened with me. You start to throw balls on the first day of training camp and everyone going, whoa, wait, that ball's different. Let me catch a few. Like, was it a huge adjustment for the receivers getting used to the lefty on the roster?
I'd say the receivers did a great job. They they weren't complaining about anything as far as the rotation of the ball. Um,
The center?
maybe in the wind, the ball can get picked up a little bit and shift one way than the other. But other than that, I heard nothing from the receivers. They'll even tell you that you know you got to catch the ball regardless if it spins right or if it spins left.
With Ryan Fitzpatrick, you seem to handle very well the reality that your head coach, Brian Flores, would, whenever he felt like it was the right thing to do, put him into the game. I mean, you've got a teammate, but there's inherent competition. How did you manage that? Because you seem to handle that, like I said, extremely well when it would happen that the coach would decide to make a change during a game.
Yeah, well, I think as a quarterback and as a leader of the team, the you have the best interest for the team. And I would say the same thing with our coaching staff, especially with Flo. He has the best interest for the team. And if I can't get the job done, someone else can. you know that's just the way that's just the way the cookie's gonna crumble. And Flo thought that Fitz would give us a better opportunity in those moments, which Fitz did in the Las Vegas game. And it was also good learning moments for me too, to be able to watch, instead of always hearing what Fitz has to say, being able to actually see him go out and do it. So that was pretty cool.
I'm amazed with how you handle adversity. I really am. Just like with that question right there with Mike asking about the Fitzpatrick, you always seem to keep a smile on your face and everything. And now you got to hear like, oh, Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins and all that. How do you compartmentalize all that and always stay so positive, Tua?
Well, I think a lot has to do with, my faith. Like I talk about my faith a lot. Um, but anything that goes around, that I can control what I can control. And my focus is just trying to get better with this year 1 to year 2 jump, and trying to be the best version of me that I can be for the Miami Dolphins.
What's your specific focus, Tua, going into year 2? Give me something tangible that you're working on to try to take your game to the next level going into your second season.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
Sure. Give me something tangible you're working on as you try to take your game to the next level going into your second season.
Yeah, I would say that, more so pre-snap versus post-snap, reads with the defenses, and then also getting better with my pre-snap operations as far as communication up front with the guys, with the line, redirecting protection, and just seeing the field a lot better and being more comfortable in the back there.
Yeah, is that like what was the biggest hurdle for you? Was it the physical adjustment to the NFL as far as like, ooh, the windows are smaller and I still got to throw this is open? Or was it more of the mental gymnastics of, man, learning the playbook and getting in and out of the huddle and all the checks? What did you find more difficult?
I definitely say the mental gymnastics of the game. Just trying to compartmentalize everything with the playbook, and then understanding where everyone goes, the snap count, the play clock, just everything going through your mind, and just trying to work as hard and as efficient as possible to make this year 1 to year 2 jump.
Tua, you talked earlier about how much more time of your time was consumed when you were in college, and I think what made your first year in the NFL even more glaring, the pandemic, no offseason program. Do you ever wonder how much different your rookie season would have been if you'd have had that on-field prep that you just didn't get going into your first season in the NFL?
Well, sometimes things don't always work out the way they're supposed to, and I wasn't the only rookie, playing without a normal, what a normal NFL year would look like. So, we all of us rookies this past year have been given the same really slate. We all been given a clean slate, and some of us made the best of our opportunities, and some of us didn't. And I'd say I need to do a better job making good use of my opportunity.
One thing we haven't talked about, and I didn't really hear you talk about it much during the year. You got drafted. We knew your health wasn't at 100%. I doubt you were at 100% feeling normal at the start of training camp. Like, where are you right now in that, area as far as before the injury? Do you feel like, man, I'm totally back, totally normal, hitting on all cylinders?
I'd say physically and mentally, I'm back. I think it's a continuing process of stretching, just strengthening the parts around the hip, and just continuing to get better, stronger, faster. And hoping to be a lot better this upcoming season.
Hey, Tua, tell us what you have going on with Truist Bank.
Yeah, so, I'm really excited to be working with Truist, who recently announced that they're an official retail bank of the NFL, which is cool because, the reason I'm working with them is we have a shared passion, and our shared passion is inspiring and building better lives and better communities. And so today I'll be launching my Tua Foundation.
Awesome.
Which is focused on youth initiatives, health and wellness, and other charitable causes. And Truist is one of the partners who is helping to make a meaningful difference with that. So thank you.
Well, that's great stuff, Tua. Hey, one more before we go. I saw Ryan Fitzpatrick talking this week about wanting to play next year. Do you want him to come back, or are you kind of ready to say, I've got this, I don't need to have a relief pitcher?
Yeah, well, I think I've learned a tremendous amount from Ryan. He's a great person, and I think we'll continue to have this strong relationship, whether he comes back to Miami or whether he doesn't. But I've learned a tremendous amount, and I know that he's someone that I can always call throughout the season or throughout the year.
All right, hey, Tua, great seeing you as always. All the best to your family, and all the best as you get ready for year 2 in the NFL. Thanks for some of your time.
Thank you guys very much.
See you, Tua. Good luck.
There he is.
Bye-bye.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah. That was a good question, that last one you asked. Guy. Yeah, that was a good question, though, because, no, he doesn't.
I know how I would feel.
He doesn't want Ryan Fitzpatrick. Right, he wants
what... Ryan, I love you, but you got to go.
Right. He wants what most starting rookie top 10 quarterbacks. He doesn't want a guy breathing down his neck and doing that. There is something to that. So that'll be interesting to watch and what Miami does do in that whole situation.
And I respect him so much for handling that aspect of it the way that he did. Could you imagine some of the other guys we've seen over the years, some of the guys who come in with that mentality that they're entitled, that this is my job? I think of a Ryan Leaf. How would Ryan Leaf have handled having a veteran quarterback who's been around forever,
right,
tapping him on the shoulder saying, I've got it from here? He really did handle himself well, and I think going through that adversity and that kind of maturity and that attitude, it's going to serve him well down the road.
Yeah, I agreed. It's battle-tested. It's hardened, certainly, and that will help him, having to deal with this adversity, everything about that. And, I do think that's a real aspect, too, that we hit on a little bit. And I wish I wanted to follow up a little bit and just go, where were you exactly this year? Because it sounds like he was still involved in some of the maintenance of his hip and dealing with those issues. I doubt he was totally 100% the Tua before the injury this season. So be interesting to see what strides he makes physically and if he looks a little different that way next year too.
Hey, they've got a great team, and he does have to deal with this whole Deshaun Watson thing. This was the weirdest one for us because we both really like the kid. He's in a tough spot.
Yes, he is.
You can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Right.
And I remember when I saw the list of of all of the people we're going to have this week. It's like, man, I admire him for stepping into the fray because he did a bunch of different shows. He was on with Dan Patrick. I mean, when you do this, you are in the meat grinder. And when your name's in the news, not for reasons that are ideal, not because you were the offensive rookie of the year, you had a great season. No, you got benched a couple of times.
Yeah.
Now you have Deshaun Watson hanging over your head. I'll tell you what, just this experience is going to be a character builder for him.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's, it's part of the NFL. And I know we look at the superstars and, how awesome it is to be a starting quarterback superstar in the NFL, but man, the rest of these quarterbacks are fighting for their lives for the most part. But it is going to be. You're right. He's going to have to answer some tough questions. It's going to be tough questions because of what we talked about all year, right, Mike? I mean, hey, there was 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 10. He was the second of 3. I think, and I want to clarify this. We're rooting for Tua. I like the guy, but he was clearly third. He was clearly third out of the 3 quarterbacks that were taken in the top 10. And when that happens, yes, the microscope goes on and people focus it even more to go, wait, what the hell went on here? Why is he not as good as we thought? And he's got to deal with that right now.
Yeah, and look, it did not help him at all that Justin Herbert was taken immediately after him, one spot later, and became an instant superstar, high level. You already got him in your top 10, right?
Yeah. I mean, Justin Herbert is already, he's in the conversation, one of the 5 best pure passers in football already for my money, for some of the things he did there. He is extremely talented, superstar level type talent. He really does. And, it was good for Justin Herbert, but yes, that puts more pressure on Tua and his situation.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.